Hello, Jamin Mayer with Parker Tree Service, Longmont, Colorado. This is late October 2020, the year of not so funness. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about is stress in trees, and then particularly this is from an ash tree, and this is a branch that's under stress. So this would be both abiotic stress and then biotic stress from what I see in this tree. I've been climbing the tree, so I know this tree is under attack from number one, emerald ash borer, and then two, I just know with temperature fluctuations around here are pretty nuts. There's been some extreme temperature fluctuations. What I mean is the overnight low and the overnight highs, the averages, and then spikes when we have like a polar vortex type thing. Nonetheless, stress. And then what I want to show you is the topic of, some people ask, how do you know if something's dead or alive in a tree when you are pruning it? To me, it's very simple. We can see it, right? Of course, that's not so simple if you can't see it from the ground or from far away. And the key is we're very close when we're working, right? We're typically right here, just from our eyeballs to our hands. What is that, like a couple inches, 20 inches away from our face? That's the short end of the stick, but as far as that answer goes, it gets a little bit more complicated as branches are further out and away from us. It also gets complicated as you look up into a gray sky. Why is that complicated? Gray, we'll call it even gray, white. Well, then the branches look like they're black. So now to me it looks like a contrast between black and white, right? But when I'm up in the crown and I'm in the tree, I'm on top of a tree branch and I'm looking down on the object that I'm looking at, which is a tree branch. So, wow, look at that. All of a sudden we got color back again, right? Oh, look at this. Watch. So what I'm getting at is sometimes we can do a scratch test, and for this example, I don't scratch that deep. I may only scratch about that deep. It's deep enough to see color, but in this example, to prove a point or just talk about a point that I'm talking about, we can see color, right? So there's another scratch test here. And then over here I can see necrotic tissue. How do I know it's necrotic? Well, experience is the first giveaway for me. The second thing is, for an inexperienced person, now you're trained because now you know, is you can see this kind of reddish discoloration. Over here there's more of a green, like an olive green color. That's healthy tissue. That's dead tissue. It's necrotic. It's dying. So that's just a topic of how to identify which is dead and alive in a tree. The other thing is, if I look at this twig, right, I see a leaf scar right there, leaf bud scar. And I see, wow, look at that. Can you believe it? It's actually green right there. So green tells me there's color. Well, that was pretty obvious. And then we see a dead one right there. Number one, there isn't any leaf bud scars. Two, just by the color. Three, by body language or just the way it looks, starts to shrivel. I know it's, dead if I were to snap it, right? So you can say that wherever this one is, this is the apical or apical meristem is way over there. That's the terminating end of this particular branch that I cut out for the sake of this video. Anyway, this I know that is completely dead, but there was some vital, no, this is recent dieback where I just snapped. It looked a little bit green or alive, but then I snapped it and it's for sure dead. And it's no mystery that it was, because right here it told me that anything at this point and above is dead. So now I'm going to get into another quick topic, which is the difference between a reduction cut and a heading cut. I won't totally cover what a reduction cut exactly right now, but I'm going to make a heading cut and show you what that looks like in a tree branch, and why I typically like to avoid making heading cuts, as they look, number one, unnatural, and if it's unnatural, I say it looks ugly. But sometimes for the sake of keeping a stress tree alive, it's necessary to make heading cuts, okay? So I'm not ruling out the baby with the bathwater with this practice of making a heading cut. I'm going to pause this, make the cut, and turn it back on. So that's a heading cut right there. And basically what a heading cut means is, you can see all these multiple sprouts that are out here. The diameter of these sprouts are not really that large compared to the diameter of the parent stem. Generally you can come down to about something that's 30% the diameter of the parent stem, as a practice in my service, I typically like to reduce something back to maybe a lateral that comes off a parent stem that's about 50%. Typically the angle of that branch, that lateral branch, is more obtuse or open versus acute and almost a 90-degree angle. That's the first thing. Next thing I want you to notice, another subject, is witch's broom. Certain trees respond, or say over respond or react to stresses differently. In this case with ash trees, they will tend to create which is called a witch's broom. So basically there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little tiny shoots coming off this one branch right here. Well, for someone that's kind of OCD like myself, it kind of throws out a little bit of a conundrum. Should I thin some of this stuff out or not? The other thing is I have an artistic expression or a customer expectation to meet, well, to make things look good. How about that? Very simple, to make things look good. To me, making, number one, this heading cut, I don't like that. 2, leaving much of this behind, I don't like that. But deep down inside, I just kind of know I have to kind of compromise with, we'll say, what nature is giving me at that moment, and I have to work with the best of what I have at that time. So it also just leads into a situation where here we are in October, where I said, and I showed you that this part of the branch is dead. So that's a good 3 feet plus of the branch. This branch is clearly alive, as we can see the green tissue underneath. The problem is, no matter what time of the season that we work on a tree, a branch could be in the process of dying, yet we don't quite know that. And since we don't quite know that, we have to give the branch or the tree the benefit of the doubt, which means we don't always cut something completely out. We may have to leave several branches that are questionable or marginal in the tree for the sake of stimulating some vitality for the tree, getting that tree to move along, to grow, to repair, to heal, to bounce back, whatever you want to say. We're giving the tree the benefit of the doubt. So it doesn't really matter what time of the year that we're working in a tree. As far as deadwood, not knowing if it's there or not, we do see it. In fact, it drives me absolutely bonkers when I am trying to work in a tree and I can't see the deadwood because there's still foliage on it. So sometimes working within the tree, like for example that one hasn't dropped its leaves yet, I may be on the interior structure looking outward towards the branches tips, and I may not even be able to see some of the deadwood. But in this case, I actually think that winter is optimal because I can see everything. And don't get me wrong, that sometimes I can't see everything, but sometimes, again, we may have to leave some things that are maybe in the process of dying. We have to leave it, but we have to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, that's just a good cultural practice. Basically, it's not anything to do with, say, the lack of integrity or the lack of good service or anything like that. Thanks.